Hello friends and welcome back for another episode of Indie Impressions. My name is Nick and today we're going to be checking out a first-person action game called Lasers by developer Swirl Fortress. It is a very simple game with a very simple concept, and on occasion I like to show off something that really doesn't go too crazy but sticks to something and does it really well. And in this case I think couldn't really ask for much of a better exemplification of the concept of avoiding something and collecting something from a first-person perspective. I do want to warn you at the top here if you have any issues with motion sickness, maybe more so than the flashing lights issue, which is usually the warning. This game has a really wide frame of view, and in fact we're going to be moving and turning the screen very, very quickly, and with the garish colors and a lot of flashing lights, all of that combined can be a little bit of sensory overload. But for those of you who don't mind too much, I think you might enjoy this quite a bit. So why don't I show you real quick the credits, and then we will open up and do a few runs here. So there's the credits, there's the options. Pretty simple stuff: game volume, music volume, mouse joystick speed. I like to keep this sensitivity rather high. I think it maybe even could go a little bit higher than that. Let's put it up to maybe 7, 8, something like that. But we will be playing with the mouse and keyboard in this case. I tried the controller. It just feels like it's a little bit too stiff in this. You kind of want the ability to move your viewpoint around, although for the sake of the video maybe it would have been, I don't know. We'll just try it this way. So what's our objective? Dash from checkpoint to checkpoint while avoiding the lasers. Pretty simple. What are our controls? I couldn't really ask for much more than that. Oh, I didn't realize there's actually dash and drop, so we'll make sure we try to hold shift and occasionally use control. And what else? Hints. There's even a hint. Alright, you can triple jump / dash. Hitting a checkpoint in the air will refund 2 jumps. Checkpoints have a very narrow but tall activation area, and you can move quicker in the air. Okay, so that is about it for that. I'm going to start us off on the level called Flatlands. There's actually 3 options here. Reason being, it's kind of easier to get acclimated. I almost feel like Flatlands should be a good introductory area before we actually get to the original place, just being that there's a little bit less going on in it. So let us do that and see how it goes. Alright, so the music kicks in, and we find ourselves dropped into a big open space with a big purple floor. As we look around rather quickly, we'll notice there are some glowing orbs. These are the checkpoints that I need to move between, and they have a very cool sense of shadow about them. As you can spot one off in the distance, you'll see next to where those lasers are, they're actually leaving these shadows running up the walls, and I think that's a really cool thing for the sake of, quick discovery, to be able to turn your viewpoint and notice that that's there. So the other thing is, like you probably heard me mention in the hint, you do get a triple jump in this game, and in this case what we want to do is use that to sort of wedge ourselves in such a way that we fall on the checkpoints each time. I think we get the best speed traveling through the air instead of running simply on the ground. Now obviously the amount of lasers is getting a little bit wild, and it's a little hard to judge the trajectory all of them, but that is kind of what the heart of the game is all about. And like I said, I wanted to just show off something that really just gets right to the core of... basically walks straight into that one. But it gets right to the core of a first-person action game and avoiding something, like I said. And in this case, very, very many lasers. And I think this is just going to keep showing off that the lasers keep spawning in. I haven't gotten too much further than that, or too much of a higher score, rather, but it is quite gratifying to get a decently high score in that. So we could tweet our score if we want to. I think we're good on that. There's also a whole number of different things going on in the UI here. There seems to be like a multiplier as well as a timer between grabs. So we'll press jump to try again. That just spawns us right back to the same level. We'll do one more run in this, and then we'll try the normal setting. And it also said there was one called experimental. I'm not actually sure what goes on with that. Oh, is the dash just for midair? Because it seems like I'm not going faster. I think actually, yeah, you tap it instead of hold it. I was expecting it to just be straight up run. That's not the case. Should mention also really great music. I mean, I feel like I say this the same way every single time, but, almost every time I find a good indie game, there's always some good music right behind. And this is no exception. There's a little bit of a wild dodge there. I almost feel like there should be like a fast dodge, like a dodge roll type of move. As well as maybe some other maps would be kind of cool. And you'll see what the main game is about, and it's a little bit more complex than just this. But I almost wish there were some levels with more verticality, that maybe you find yourself climbing up a strange map, as well as maybe there's some traps to avoid, and other things like that. I actually did a weird like lateral movement in the midair, and that actually saved me on that one. Oh, I guess I just nicked the side of that laser. Did I get the exact same score twice? That's pretty weird. Alright, can we hit... Let's hit escape and we'll go back to the main menu. We'll do original. Now this is a lot more chaotic. The ground is going to be moving all around, so just so you're prepared. Here we go. Alright. We've spawned in, and we do, I believe, get a different music track for this world as well. And the cool thing here is the shadows that you saw before now are also going to be mapped, I believe, onto the other blocks too. So there's a lot visually going on, even though, again, a very, very simple game. So it just kind of goes to show you how much you can do with such a simple concept, and I really do kind of think that's pretty fantastic at times. This music definitely does get you in the mood to run around a little bit, although again, I mentioned this in a previous episode recently, like not a huge fan of the kind of dubstep, wubby kind of inspired music, but it does definitely fit well here. It kind of seems like you would be experiencing something like this when you're surrounded by lasers, which we absolutely are, and I basically just jumped right into that and instantly respawned. There's also a really good sense of self. When you move around in this game, you feel like you actually have some solid mass, as well as the fact that you have the triple jump also changes the way the stylistic movement feeling goes. And it's a thing that people don't talk about all that often, but the way you interact with the space, the way your character carries its mass, is a really big part of the elements to interactivity. In this case, I think it's got a really nice feeling to it. Definitely feels very polished, which when you're dealing with a game that's, you know, very simple and very rudimentary, you know, basically running around a big empty space, well, maybe not as empty as it was in the prior map, it is very important to have some moments to it that feel a little extra polished, and I would say the movement and the way the character handles the space definitely have that going on in them. Alright, so let's grab a few more here. We seem to be holding up alright. The timer is ticking down pretty quickly in the top left corner, and yeah. Alright, seems like I just walked into that one. Just for the sake of argument, let's see if we can find out what the difference of experimental is versus what I was just doing. Because I tried it once just very quickly. I couldn't seem to spot any difference. It just seemed like it was the same as the other one. Maybe oh, do the tiles go way deeper in this one? Yeah, it seems like maybe all of the tiles are moving at a different pace, and maybe they're even like moving along like a visualizer with the music, which would be really cool. Oh, they're changing up different styles. Alright, now it makes a lot of sense. Each time you move, or reach a checkpoint, I should say rather, is maybe spawning in a different reaction out of the tiles. Sometimes they seem to group together, sometimes they don't. They seem to be changing patterns, I guess is the simplest way to say it. Well, we didn't last very long on that one. It's too bad also as you progress through this, maybe your timer goes up or your checkpoints go up and the lasers get a little bit more intense. Maybe you could have some different lighting effects happening in the environment. Maybe you could have a change of color to the floor. Things start to change and get a little bit, you know, something. It's something to show progression. It honestly doesn't matter if it's a color or it's a texture or it's a lighting effect. Although all of those things could imply any of the others, but you know what I mean. Anyway, really cool game. Lasers, super simple, super well done, very polished. Totally free if you want to play it. You can play it right in your browser. There's no downloading, there's no really anything. And the developer just requests, you know, if you enjoyed the game, consider supporting it to help the developer buy a full version of Unity and maybe continue developing this even further. And I found it to be very fun. Hopefully you did as well. And, you know, feel free to let me know what your high scores are. I'm kind of curious to know how long you can last in this gauntlet of laser beams. And, you know, hopefully you had a good time throughout the whole thing. So anyway, that's going to do it for another episode of Indie Impressions. If you enjoyed the episode, consider leaving a like. It does help me out quite a bit. And if you enjoy the content on the channel, also consider subscribing. No pressure, of course, but I do a new indie game every single day. That's actually quite beautiful, the way that the lasers are shooting those little particles out in every direction on the black background. It's quite sparse, but quite effective. I don't know. There's something about the way this is presented. I really enjoyed it. Anyway, that's going to do it for another day, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I will catch you on another tomorrow, and I hope you have a fantastic night. Later.